a prophet doesn't just speak or write. A prophet acts, and acts with courage even at the cost of death. Okay. If you ever study archetypes and so on, and what they call the magus archetype, and I would suspect that most of us in this room are pretty good maguses. Which we got the word magi. Magi is just the plural. Remember, it wasn't the three kings, it was the three magi who come. Magi means wise people, or people of wisdom. But when they study that, right back to Carl Jung, he says, you know what our deepest struggle is, us magi in this room here, is that we can write about it, we can talk about it, but we can't do it. We don't want to be on the street, we don't want to get dirty, and Robert Moore used to say, he said, when the last tree in America has been cut down, there'll have been a lot of academic studies written about it. Okay. See, so we find it hard to get in the prophetic archetype is the warrior archetype. Prophets are warriors. They go to war. Okay. And most of us, including myself, we just find that hard. I can teach this stuff, but to be honest, I've rarely been involved in a demonstration and so on. I'll write about them and encourage others. But well, I'm a priest, and see, that's the struggle of the magus. So we say a prophet has enough altruistic love, hope, and courage to not count the cost of prophecy. And here, just give examples like Berrigan is probably in prison 10 times. Oscar Romero got himself shot. It was very interesting. Oscar Romero, see, it was a tense time in El Salvador, and they named him a bishop because he was an intellectual. He was a magus. And Rome wanted somebody, he's going to be safe. This guy's going to be safe. He's not going to. And so what happens? He was safe, except he met the poor, and all of a sudden he started saying, this isn't fair. This is not fair. And he began to speak out more for the poor. And at one point, he says to the president himself, says, you're a liar, and I'm calling you on it. That's a lie. He signed his death warrant, got himself shot, See, but it took courage. And remember, he said, he told the president, if you shoot me, it's going to be the biggest mistake you ever made because I'm going to rise in the Salvadorian people. And oftentimes when they shoot a person, that's the beginning of the end. Apartheid ended when they shot 4 innocent people. And world television, from that moment, it starts unraveling and so on. Now, those 4 people died. Or Stan Rather, and because, he is from Oklahoma City, and he's going to be canonized, beatified and then canonized. He died in Guatemala in 1981. And the same thing, he was speaking for the poor, and he got threats. So the bishop went down, his bishop from Oklahoma City went down and flew him out and flew him home. And he said, we're going to save you from getting killed. And he didn't stay. He says, a shepherd doesn't abandon the sheep. And he went back knowing there was going to be certain death. And within a month, he was shot to death, and so on. Or Dorothy Stang, who, trying to save the Amazon forest and so on, got herself killed. It's very interesting. I talked before about Larry Rosebaugh, the Oblate, who got shot to death in Guatemala. And he was a great friend of Daniel Berrigan. But John Deere, who some of you were here when John Deere spoke from this podium in February or March. And so John Deere was probably Berrigan's closest confidant. And he says, he told Berrigan was already 90 years old and in a wheelchair and so on. He says, Larry got shot to death in Guatemala. And he says, Berrigan says, well, the lucky bastard. he said, God, I wish somebody would shoot me. He said, what a way to go. He said, I don't want to die in bed. He said, what a great way to go. He said, but nobody will shoot me. No. But now, the quote, he says, first of all, a prophet, the end of Berrigan is clear. You don't seek martyrdom, but you accept it if it finds you. Then he says, because we want peace with a half heart and a half life, war, of course, continues because waging war is total, but the waging of peace by your own cowardice is only partial. So they see, that people like Berrigan, this prophet, say, peace has to be waged. You don't just write about it. The same as we talk about, you wage war, it's an activity. You have to wage peace. It's an activity.